Now, today I want to make a video for young creatives, young artists, and young musicians out there, because there are so many challenges out there that we don't exactly know how to tackle. And one of those challenges, no doubt, is how exactly do you go about managing your time? How exactly do you go about striking a great balance between working too much and not working much at all? There are two camps of people out there. On the left-hand side, you have some people that really don't work on art all that much. So they're very lost in the experiential side of art. They're very lost in life experiences, so they don't block out enough time for their artistic craft, so to speak. And on the right-hand side, you have some people that are very concerned with their productivity. They want to produce more and more and more and more, so they end up a hermit. They are what we call the artistic workaholics, so to speak. So I think if you want to be a really powerful artist, if you want to become a really powerful creative, you have to somehow find a balance between these two extremes. I think art primarily is based on life. So therefore, art without living experiences or life experiences is an empty shell, and living without art is a tragedy. So today I want to draw on my personal experiences of being a creative writer, or being a writer, or pursuing a craft of writing, to tease out some useful tips and lessons to help us find this balance between working too much and working too little as an artist. So for me personally, I tip a little bit toward the workaholic side of art. I really love the thrill that you get from finishing a novel, the thrill that you get from writing a really good scene in a novel. This is the kind of thing that only artists can relate to in your respective field. If you're a musician, you'll feel really damn good after completing a score that you've been meaning to complete for a little while. You'll feel really good about a poem that you've written. If you're a poet, if you're naturally inclined toward that line of craft. But the danger here is that once you're accustomed to this cycle of seeking highs or seeking these pleasure points with completion, it's easy for us to forget to live a little. It's very easy for us to forget that there's an entire world out there for us to live. There are experiences to be had, and there are things for us to synthesize, and there are things for us to seek inspiration from. So it turns into this very negative cycle of I want to work more because I don't have inspiration. I feel depressed about not working. So the kind of work that you churn out are kind of lifeless without some amounts of external input. Some of my favorite writers, like Gustave Flaubert or Henry Miller, they belong to a group of people labeled as les flâneurs. These people were dedicated wanderers around the city, around the countries, or around certain places. Initially, it might seem a little odd. Why aren't you writing? Why are you roaming around? But I personally think there's something really powerful in that idea of being a flâneur. Through wandering through places, through wandering and being open to a multitude of experiences, you can then sharpen your skill for observation. You can sharpen your artistic gaze, and they'll be really helpful for whatever field of artistic pursuits that you're in. So often workaholic type of people, they neglect such important parts of their creative journeys. Through seeking the high from completing something, they're neglecting the experience of creation. They're ignoring the role or the power of just letting yourself go and being open to whatever that comes up. So I think good writers, they can really find this true balance of living and writing. So they live to write and write to live. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle where their writing reflects their life experiences, and where their experiences eventually inform their writing. And speaking of writing, now let's talk about the other camp of people, which is the camp of people that don't exactly produce much artistic work. This is a very conflicted group of people. On one hand, they have so many great ideas. They have so many projects that they want to start, but for some reason, they just cannot bring themselves to do it. They have too many ideas and too little action. And that's why I think there needs to be a thing that keeps you in check. There needs to be a thing that would eventually propel you toward the artistic vision that you have. Now, here's my opinion. I think some creatives, they neglect the role of systems, and they neglect the role of habits, and they neglect the role of routines in their creative pursuits. Through neglecting that part of their artistic journeys, their art actually suffers. So for those people, I propose a brand new way of looking at creativity. I propose something that's radically different, that's going to better your art, so to speak. And the tip here is this: follow a system for your artistic pursuits. At first glance, it's gonna sound kind of crazy. It's gonna sound like I'm mad talking, I'm talking nonsense here. Hey, art is supposed to be art. Don't constrain my art with boundaries, with rules, and with systems and routines. It's definitely a counterintuitive point, but I think the real power of this point lies in the fact that you're treating yourself as a professional artist. In Steven Pressfield's book, The War of Art, he described the journey of being an artist as a journey of struggling against resistance. Now here's the fact: resistance will always be there. There won't ever be a day where you feel completely clean, where you feel completely awesome, that you're just completely ready to tackle your craft. Those days might happen, but they are, in a sense, in the minorities. When the creativity wears off, when everything's in tatters, that is where you need to systematize your creativity. And speaking from personal experience, I think treating writing as a routine and as a habit really allowed me to write so much more, really allowed me to produce higher quality work, and really allowed me to finish all the manuscripts that I've started. And here's a tip from one of my favorite writers, Henry Miller. He basically said, write first and always. Painting, music, friends, cinema, all these come afterwards. The idea here is to get your creativity out first thing in the morning, to get your creativity out before anything else. Because it's so easy for you to come up with excuses, with reasons why you shouldn't work on this thing, and the force of procrastination really start to kick in later into the day. So when I started writing The Learned Disguise, and when I started writing L'Académie, which is my second novel, I really committed myself to 500 words a day, and nothing more, nothing less. I'll set down the words, I'll write it, and I'll forget about it for the rest of the day. Following a routine like that really gave me the assurance that I've done a fair share of work for the day. I've got the project rolling. I am producing at a reasonable pace, and I shouldn't feel bad about not producing anything for the rest of the day. It really alleviates the pressure, and it really speaks to the power of accumulation and the power of habit. If you write 500 words a day, in a month, that's already 15,000 words. And in less than 3 months, you'll have yourself a pretty decently sized novel. So don't treat your creative projects like big rocks that you have to break. Don't treat these projects like huge mammoths that you have to tackle in less than a week. As human beings, we're very bad at seeing into the future. We don't exactly see the long-term consequences of daily action. So therefore, we neglect the power of, for example, writing 200 words a day. And we don't exactly have the foresight then to see the power of sticking to a routine of writing only 200 words a day. But if you really want to be a powerful creative, here's a very great place to start. Stick to a very small goal, but keep it going for at least 3 to 4 months. Break down a huge project into tiny, manageable chunks so you can work on it, you can chip away at it, and at the end of a few months, you'll have yourself a completed project that you'll feel proud of. So those are some of the things that really helped me out along my journey of writing. Speaking of which, I've completed the last draft of L'Académie, and here is the final cover design. I still have to work with an editor and all that kind of good stuff, but this book should be ready in due time. And if you want to get the latest updates for this upcoming new book and other shenanigans, be sure to click the link in the description down below to sign up for a newsletter. Then again, being a young creative in the 21st century, it's a very scary thing, but also it's one of the more exciting aspects of being here, of being right here, right now, and being an artist right here, right now. Thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.